Okay, today we wanted to highlight a new feature in our T640 and our T640X called maintenance mode. This is a feature that customers have been asking for a while. We've added it to the most recent firmware on this instrument. We'll also be adding this to other gas analyzers over time. Uh, First, to start out, that firmware version 1.4.26.515 is going to be required in order for this feature to be utilized. So reach out to our technical support group to request that firmware version. You can go to our website at teledyne-api.com for that contact information. Once we've loaded that into the particulate instrument, on our home screen, we can add it conveniently to one of these meter variables. These three sections down here, we refer to those as meter variables, and they're customizable by the user. So we can simply come in to the gear icon here. We can choose the tag we want and the location we want to put it. So we may have sample flow, we may have ambient pressure. These are all customizable. We can go back to our home screen. We'll see that anything we added in that third column or that right column is here now. So we've got this maintenance mode feature here. Now we've got this mapped to a Modbus coil. It's coil number 5 in our Modbus map here. So up above you can see I'm looking at instantaneous or 1 second values via Modbus using a Campbell CR6 in this case, just to demonstrate the Modbus features here. So I've got this mapped variable called maintenance mode. It's looking at that coil number 5. If I come down here and turn on my maintenance mode, this will turn to true. So it's converting that Boolean true or false here and allowing me to basically flag my data acquisition system. So most data acquisition systems, we can do this manually. We can go in and disable a channel or put it into maintenance mode. But this would just be a way to allow the user to utilize this toggle switch right on the instrument and tell the data acquisition system that it's in maintenance mode. And then you do something in your data acquisition system to validate the data channel based off that Boolean input. So that's a pretty simple implementation. It's pretty fast. It works really well. So again, it's a very useful feature. The places where we really have customers asking for this feature are in standalone applications. Somebody's running a T640 or a T640X by itself out at an ambient station. They didn't really want to spend the money to put a full data acquisition system out there, so most of those customers have worked with their data acquisition system provider to allow a feature to remotely collect the data from the instrument directly. So now they've saved that space and that cost of hosting a data acquisition system out at their site, and instead they've got their central polling system reaching out to the instrument and downloading the data files from the instrument. So all of our NumaView instruments have a pretty robust built-in data acquisition system. In this case, when we go to setup and data logging, we have a default 1-minute data file that we would use for looking at mostly the diagnostic parameters and concentrations on a 1-minute interval, and use those with tech support. If you've got issues, they'll ask you to download this file and send it in so we can review it. For polling data, generally most of us are going to have some separate additional data logger that's just maybe concentrations and flows. So let's go ahead and we'll build one of those really quick. We'll call this maybe poll minute data. We can call it whatever we want, so poll min. We can put a description here if we want, 1 minute polled data something. We'll just call it that, keep it simple. We don't need a ton of records here because the idea is we're actively polling this. I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 1,000 for now just to keep things simple. Now when we choose our tags, you can see everything on the left column here are the available tags that I can log, and I need to put whatever I want on the right to add it to this data logger. So again, let's just keep this one kind of simple. We're just going to throw in maybe some concentration data and also this maintenance mode. So we'll put the maintenance mode in here. And then let's throw in some concentration. So we've got our PM1 concentration, maybe our PM coarse here. It's a pretty important one. Our PM10 standard temperature and pressure, and then our PM 2.5. This instrument also has PM total. These PM1 and PM total are license options you can add. No hardware changes needed. We just simply change the algorithm to look for these additional concentrations. The PM total, of course, is only available on a base model T640 since we haven't done any size selective cut on the inlet. So this is a pretty basic data logger, right? We've got maintenance mode, and then we've got our main concentrations here. Trigger type, we're going to set this up as a periodic trigger, looking at 1 minute data. Done. So now we've got a new data logger called pull min. All right, let's go ahead and go back to our home screen. So my pump's not running right now. That's why. It's mostly to save noise on this video, so I'd turn the internal pump off. Let's go ahead and turn that on just so we've got some real data here. So bear with me with the sound of the pump running. The machine's right behind me. But now we'll actually have some real meaningful data collecting here. So right now our maintenance mode's off here. Our maintenance mode's off here. If we start building up some data in this data log, we're going to expect to see that information carried into our data log. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. It's 3:06 on the instrument. We'll let this run a couple minutes to build up the data file. Alright, so it's been a couple of minutes here. We've collected some data. You can see the pump is now running. If we look up here at our Modbus data, we've got some temperatures coming in here. We've got flows. We've got meaningful data here for this test now. It's showing up here. So let's go ahead and download that data log and take a look at what's in there. So if we go in, we pick this, we'll download that DAS. Now I don't really care about the min data. We're really looking at this pull min that we just created, so we can take a look at what those files look like. So we'll download this. See, it creates a new file in my documents. That's where I've got this set up to store. So we'll just pull that up, take a look. So you can see we've got our maintenance mode. It's set to false. So we've got these concentrations, and we've got this column that's going to be true or false depending on whether the maintenance mode's on. So post-processing in your DAS, in your central polling software, your validation software, depending on the system you have, you're going to be able to use this column to validate whether that data was in maintenance mode or not in maintenance mode. So we'll go back out now and let's go ahead and put this into maintenance mode. You'll see there's an alert now. That alert simply shows you that it's in maintenance mode. It's not a latching alert, so you'll see it comes and goes with the toggle. We're going to leave this on, and again, I'm going to collect a few minutes worth of data, take a little break here, and we'll come back in a few minutes. Alright, so it's been more than a few minutes. I ran across the street to grab my kid from daycare. Not daycare, she's in kindergarten now. Alright, so let's take a look. We've been running for a bit of time here, maybe 20 minutes or so, with the maintenance mode slider on. So let's download that data logger again and see what the files look like. So again, let's just grab the minute data for today. We'll got a new file here to look at, and perfect. So we can see those first couple of minutes we were collecting, the maintenance mode was off for 3 minutes, and then since then we've had it on true. So you know, check with your DAS manufacturer if you're using one for polling to see if this is something you can utilize. There's a few customers out there, some of our industrial customers, running these as fence line monitors that don't even have data acquisition. You know, that you're doing this in Excel, maybe something else. In those cases, this is going to be equally useful. When you download those files, you'll be able to know when you were out there, you know, in addition to your logbook that should also accompany this. Let us know what you think of this feature, if it's good, if it's bad, if you'd like to see something different. We're happy to work with our customers to make this NumaView software interface as robust and user-friendly as possible. Thanks a lot.